Okay. Let's get started. 1578. You can begin. You can begin.
All right.
Yeah.
Chair and members of the committee, good afternoon. I am Walter Simmons, Secretary of the Maryland Department of Social and Economic Mobility. And the Department of Social and Economic Mobility respectively submits our testimony as written as I present in front of you, so I'm not going to read the whole thing to you today, related to reauthorizing and strengthening Maryland's minority business and enterprise program. What I do want to highlight is that the state's disparity study was prepared and published in 2025, and the outcomes of that report justify why we want to reauthorize and reconstitute our program as we move forward. As you see in the disparity study, in the marketplace, minority and women-owned businesses are prevalent in the marketplace, but sales to those businesses are still drastically down, showing a gap in the market. Same way in the state's contracting, minority and women-owned businesses are still also very prevalent in the state's contracting economy, but the contract awards still show disparities in the awards contracted to Maryland small and minority-owned businesses. And the current bill, if not reauthorized, will sunset on July 1st, 2026. As we look at that bill, the two big things to take away is that the bill, it codifies the General Assembly's findings from the disparity study I just referenced, and then it also reinforces the narrow tailoring features already embedded in Maryland's approach. The other items that I think are really relative is really what happens after certification. A lot of conversations are related to certification, and we are working on those items. But why are businesses in Maryland getting certified? It's because they want to get contracts and revenue. And one of the highlights of this bill, as the Department of Social and Economic Mobility now houses OMBE, is moving from annual reporting to quarterly reporting. Right now, if an agency cannot identify businesses are struggling in their procurement with Maryland small and minority businesses, the Department of Social and Economic Mobility don't find out until at least 90 days after the end of the year, which means anything that happened during that year we can't address. This bill changes the reporting to quarterly, which allows us to look at it every quarter to see the state's progress, identify agencies and what they're doing, and if they have any issues, we can start addressing those, providing professional development or technical assistance instead of having to address previous year issues in the next year. It also expands our cross-divisional impact, departmental impact in how we provide social and conduct socioeconomic procurements by adding the Secretary of Labor to the socioeconomic procurement subcabinet to ensure not only we're focusing on revenue and business success, but also focusing on ensuring that Maryland residents are gaining employment with Maryland businesses as they're working on Maryland contracts. As we look at this across the board, we had huge success last year, increase in minority and disadvantaged business payments to $4.1 billion, which is the largest amount of payments that we've seen, increase in some of our small business participation. And I think now more than ever, as we see the impacts in the economy on Maryland businesses and Maryland residents, that we reauthorize the Maryland Minority Business Enterprise Program through HB 1578 and ensure that we preserve and strengthen Maryland's legal and evidentiary foundation on the program. We continue to improve our transparency and administration of the program and ensure that the state's participation framework remains effective, ensuring that women and minority businesses and small businesses are competitive in Maryland's state contractor market. DOSM respectfully urges a favorable report on House Bill 1578. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions for the Secretary? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sarah Benson.
Mr. Chairman and members, if I were to start talking about this wonderful gentleman that's seated here, I would be here all day and all night. But what he does is just unbelievable. He has a history of getting things done, but he also knows how to win friends and influence people. And I want to thank him for the work that he has, not just with this department, but what he has done in his whole career. He is absolutely wonderful. I want to thank you for the work that you do back in Prince George's County for those who can't speak for themselves.
Thank you, Senator Benson.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
587. Okay. Yeah. I had the treasurer interested in speaking on this. Hmm? 193. $195.
Bingo.
Winner.
Good afternoon. Chair Kazone, Vice Chair Rosapep, my delegate from the lovely district, Legislative District 14, Zucker, is not here, but let him know I gave him a shout out, and all the brilliant senators from the Budget and Taxation Committee. Good afternoon. Delegate Pam Queen for the record. HB 195 establishes a work group on gambling prevention technology that's housed under the Maryland Lottery and Gaming Commission. The goal is to work with the Maryland Center of Excellence and Problem Gambling in certain local colleges to study how technology can be deployed to address problem gambling and prevention on college campuses. We know nationally, as well as from the studies done by the Maryland Center of Excellence and Problem Gambling, that upwards of 41% of our college students are involved with gambling, and this number is higher than we find in rates of other populations. So the idea is to study ways we can use technology to curb that activity. This bill passed unanimously out of the Ways and Means Committee, 18-0, and out of the House of Delegates, 131-0. We're hoping for a favorable recommendation from this body.
Thank you very much. Questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
193. Delegate, good to see you.
Good to see you, Mr. Chairman. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Delegate Ken Kerr, I'm here to present House Bill 193. And catch my breath here if I'm running over. It's state procurement transparency and procedures. So 193, as you will recall, Mr. Chairman, last year we had a different form of this bill. You requested we work out some things over the summer. I believe we've done that. So this makes important practical changes to Maryland's procurement system, improvements that increase transparency, fairness, and predictability for both the state and the businesses that do business with the state. First, the bill strengthens debriefing requirements for unsuccessful bidders. When vendors understand why they were not selected, they're in a better position to improve future proposals, which ultimately lead to stronger competition and better outcomes for the state. Second, the bill brings much-needed clarity to how contract changes and claims are handled by standardizing procedures across different types of contracts and expediting timelines where appropriate. 193 reduces confusion and ensures that disputes are addressed in a more consistent and orderly manner. Third, the bill recognizes a simple reality. Laws and regulations change by requiring contracts to include provisions for equitable adjustments. It protects both the state and its contractors from unforeseen circumstances that could otherwise disrupt critical projects and increase costs unpredictably. Finally, by streamlining the process, the bill helps ensure procurement decisions are resolved efficiently. Taken together, these reforms will make Maryland's procurement system more transparent, more efficient, more competitive. I ask for a favorable report.
Thank you, Delegate. Questions? Yes?
Chair, are you aware a number of amendments were added onto the bill, and are you okay with them?
I am aware, and I understand that you're okay with them. And as my cross-file, if you're okay with them, I'm okay with them.
Good answer.
Excellent. All right, another kumbaya moment in the
Okay.
budget and tax.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. We have witnesses? Oh. Okay. Let's see. All right. Favorable, Matthew Tefu?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the committee. Matt Tafone here on behalf of the Associate Builders and Contractors. Basically a simple me too. We really appreciate the delegate and the senator putting this bill forward. And just one quick point, this committee, I've mentioned it before, has a great opportunity this session, and this bill being the center focal point on robusting the procurement process, especially for the construction industry. And that is, also with House Bill 954, the retention proceeds, and also SB 671 on prompt payment. These three together will be a great addition to helping the construction industry in Maryland. So with that, Mr. Chair, I appreciate time and ask for a favorable vote.
Thank you. Questions? Thank you very much. And then Nicole McDonald and Irene Butler.
Not Irene Butler, but I'm here for her.
Okay.
I'm Norm Kraus.
You're who?
Norm Kraus.
Kraus?
Kraus.
Yes, Mr. Kraus. Go ahead.
Chair and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to testify on HB 193. My name is Norm Kraus. I am a Maryland resident. I'm here on behalf of IBEC, which is the International Institute of Building Enclosure Consultants. I am a regional director representing Maryland, Marylanders, Pennsylvania, Delaware, New Jersey, New York, and New England states through Maine and Ohio. We have about 3,900 professionals, including architects and engineers, suppliers, and specializing in roofing, waterproofing, exterior wall design, and building enclosures. I agree with many of the statements within the bill. The challenge is we have an issue with how the procurement could and is being displayed. At its core, HB 93 would roll back Maryland's longstanding belief that good laws prevent conflicts of interest or any appearance therefrom. HB 193 gives license to individuals who consult or assist in drafting specifications, invitations for bids, or requests for the proposals to subsequently submit a bid for the exact RFP that they assisted with. This is exactly the temptation that the current Maryland State Finance and Procurement Code 13-112 was trying to prevent. The current language for that code states that the design is left for architectural services, engineering services, and land surveying services. By contrast, HB 193 procurement approaches prioritizing convenience over price or qualifications. The existing code safeguard exists to preserve the integrity of the procurement process Removing it would open the door to questionable conflicts of interest, allowing possible inequity of shaping project requirements, reducing competition for the resulting contract, and an inherent advantage that undermines fairness, transparency, and public trust. My comments are not meant to suggest wrongdoing by any procurement officer or public employee. We are all professionals and we are also human, and clear laws help all of us rely on objective standards rather than relationships, assumptions, or momentary pressure. HB 193 itself allows information to be provided so long as it does not create an unfair competitive advantage, although it does create a lawful path to sole source procurement. My request is simply that Maryland continue to protect the independent professional judgment, open competition, and specifications so public confidence remains strong.
Thank you. Questions for the witness? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, 359.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and Mr. Vice Chair. Delegate Kent Robertson here for House Bill 359, Property Tax Credit for Urban Agriculture. And to allow for best experience, we'll allow our College Park student to begin testimony, and then we'll come in and do back cleanup.
Thank you. Good afternoon, members of the Budget and Taxation Committee. I'm Zarina Glaster. I'm a second-year public policy student at the University of Maryland, College Park. And today I'm here to present House Bill 359 on behalf of Delegate Robertson today. So House Bill 359 requires that urban farmers receive at least 1 year advance notice before the termination of their property tax credit. This makes sure that these urban farmers aren't affected by sudden changes that could negatively impact their livelihoods. Currently, access to this credit is very limited, so only a small number of individuals qualify. With House Bill 359, the bill would expand access to the credit for urban farmers who engage in a wide range of activities through eliminating the minimum acreage requirement and including innovative practices like hydroponics. House Bill 359 promotes agricultural productivity and economic growth, all while protecting urban farmers and helping foster a strong sense of community. For these reasons, I urge a favorable report on House Bill 359. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and Mr. Chair, following in your stead, there is no crossfile on this bill, so hopefully we'll still get this across the finish line. But just want to note for the record that there are only 3 jurisdictions that have this urban agriculture tax credit. That's Baltimore City, Montgomery County, and Prince George's County. And just to run, the reason we need this bill for the expansion of its usage is that all of these jurisdictions have it underutilized. In particular, in Prince George's County, there was only 1 individual that received the tax credit, and that was for $4,400 in 2025. In Montgomery County, there was only a tax credit in the amount of, Baltimore City, it was only for $3,900. And for Montgomery County, they were the ones that utilized it the most, reaching upwards of $22,000 in fiscal 2025. And you'll see that in the fiscal notes. So what we're trying to do is really expand it across these jurisdictions so more entities are able to access this tax credit and hopefully expand our urban agriculture. So we urge a favorable report. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Questions for the witnesses? Is that the master's program?
They do have the master's program, but I'm an undergraduate
Gotcha.
right now, yeah.
Oh, they expanded into an undergraduate program.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I graduated from that program.
From MPP? Nice, okay.
Yeah. Good job. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
587.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, and good afternoon to the members of Budget and Tax. Delegate N. Scott Phillips, representing the 10th Legislative District, here asking a favorable report for House Bill 587. And this bill was amended and passed out of the House of Delegates. House Bill 587 is a good government bill. It restores appropriate oversight by the Maryland Board of Public Works over large transportation procurements while thoughtfully addressing operational concerns by the Maryland Department of Transportation. The impetus for this legislation was actually the tragic loss of the Francis Scott Key Bridge. In the days that followed the disaster, I asked a simple question: who was working on the bridge and under what procurement authority? What I learned was concerning. A procurement was $100 million, and then it went up significantly more to almost $1 billion, had not come before the Board of Public Works. That procurement, as you all know, as the head of the Legislative Black Caucus, it struck me that that procurement had a 3% MBE participation goal. And importantly, the board, which is constitutionally charged with oversight of state spending, had no role in reviewing that decision. But this goes beyond an issue of minority business participation. There was, at the time, it was urged that urgency required speed, but the Board of Public Works handles emergency procurements every session. So for me, that explanation did not hold. As I dug deeper, I found that this was not an isolated situation. Major infrastructure procurements, bridges, tunnels, interchanges, often valued in the hundreds of millions of dollars, are routinely executed without Board of Public Works review. This is not how our system was designed to function. If I could, I'll shorten this, Mr. Chair, if I may. It raised a number of concerns to me. And what we did in this bill is significantly increased the thresholds by which we would look at it. $5 million, $5 million for an initial project and $1 million for modifications. I believe it is time to take that exception that was granted at a much different time back in the 70s and eliminate that exception and allow us to have the accountability that all procurements over $250,000 in Maryland have. And for that reason, I'm asking for a favorable report on House Bill 587. Thank you.
Thank you, Delia. Mr. Treasurer.
Thank you, sir, and good afternoon, members of the Budget and Tax Committee, and it's nice to see you as well, Senator Benson. I'm glad you're back. I know I don't have a lot of time, so I would ask that you all take a look at my testimony on House Bill 587. It gives a much fuller detail of what I'm about to say. I've looked at the fiscal note and I've heard the previous comments from MDOT and MTA. I want to address three quick things. Number one, the talk that it takes longer before it comes before BPW. Projects take longer. It's just untrue. And that's not the word I want to use, but that's the word I'm going to use here. It's untrue. It takes 12 calendar days, not even business days, 12 calendar days when something comes before the Board of Public Works. What we ask, they can actually bring it up within 2 days before the Board of Public Works. And even with that, if they can find 2 members of the board, they can actually, what we call hand carry, and bring it up less than that. So it doesn't take more time. Secondly, and it's a question I really want you all to listen and think about. They talk about how much extra time it takes because of their internal review process. The question is, why aren't you doing that anyway? See, apparently, from what they're describing, when they come before the Board of Public Works, they have to do all this extra scrutiny and so forth and so on. But when it doesn't come before the board, apparently they do less scrutiny. Every contract should receive the same amount of thought and care. And if it takes it coming before the board, then that's what we ought to do. And finally, I just want to note, in discussions with the Lieutenant Governor, the Comptroller and I agreed to raise, without legislation needed, we agreed to raise the threshold for all procurements from $200,000 to $500,000. They hadn't been raised in forever. I think I was still in high school when that was formed. Now it's at $500,000. So all of that talk that they say, well, we need more staffers and it's going to require more time. they failed to mention the fact that all the time that they're going to save because we've raised the threshold from 200 to 500,000. I'm sorry I went over, Mr. Chairman.
Perfectly fine. Treasurer.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Matt Dudzik, here on behalf of Comptroller Brooke Learman, who unfortunately could not be here today, but here to testify in support of House Bill 587. For more than 200 years, the Board of Public Works has provided Marylanders with transparency and accountability for their major state projects. Almost every state contract that's valued at $200,000 or more, soon to be, as the treasurer mentioned, $500,000, comes before the board for review. It's a really, really vital part of how we can ensure that these expenditures are appropriate, are fiscally responsible, are meeting the goals that the legislature has set for things like minority business participation, small business participation. This is unique to Maryland. These are meetings that are open to the public, and they provide a measure of visibility into state spending that you just don't have in most other states. So it is unfortunate that some of our most significant state projects, those involving roads, bridges, and highways, are exempt from coming before the board for review. These are major infrastructure projects that cost the state hundreds of millions of dollars and have a direct impact on millions of Marylanders. And yet they don't receive the same scrutiny as other large contracts for items such as IT or construction. HB 587 gives a very simple fix. It says that these large contracts, and it specifically just is talking about contracts valued at $5 million or above, must receive the same public review as all of our other major state contracts. As the treasurer noted, I know that there was some concern expressed that this could result in delays. The Board of Public Works meets every 2 weeks. Typically, they ask for those 12 calendar days, but can add things to the agenda as late as the Monday before the Wednesday board meetings. So we are, of course, happy to work with MDOT to ensure that they continue to be heard in a timely fashion. But given the sharp uptick in concerns regarding state spending that we've all seen over the past year, the comptroller feels it is more important than ever to have transparency and accountability for our state's largest projects, and urges a favorable report. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Yes, Senator.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. This is for anybody who can answer it, but what is the history behind MDOT not being part of the Board of Public Works review?
Yeah, I actually looked into this, Senator, and it dates back to when the modals were created back in the 70s, apparently. And the thought process was that they would be treated kind of like a business unit, and they would go off and do somewhat their own thing, and that they needed speed in order to do that and engagement. I will say that back then, a couple of things. The procurements weren't as large as they are today, and the idea of speed to market, we've just heard that argument doesn't play the same way today as it did then. And I'd say the third piece is we didn't have this environment where we expect for our government procurements to be more transparent and for our folks to be more accountable. So I would say those are the differences between the 70s and today.
Thank you. That's really helpful. Thanks.
Yes. Senator.
Thank you all for the testimony. I want to ask, why are the bridges and roads, why are they exempt from the Department of Public Works?
Well, that was, once again, that was a policy that began sometime, from what I can tell, back in the 70s. And it was codified in the Senate Finance and Procurement article sometime toward the late 70s, from what I can tell, Senator. And so that was the period.
But I'm just trying to figure out the reason why that happened. What was it?
So they felt that they needed.
They want to deal with procurement?
They didn't. Well, I won't call it that.
I mean, that seems to be what I'm thinking as I sit here.
They felt that the way that those particular modals, and it was only 3 at the time, that the way that those particular modals operated, that they should have, that someone at that time thought that they should have that exception and not coming before the board.
So that opens the door for them to pick and choose the people that they want to do the work. as opposed to going through the procurement process?
They're still going through a procurement process, so I'm not going to say they don't do that.
I'm saying then.
But they were still going through a procurement process. The difference is that there was no review by the Board of Public Works, by those two individuals that are elected, and the one that is selected, also elected by us, the General Assembly, the treasurer, had no view on those transactions.
No review.
No.
And if I could just add, we'd actually done a little bit of digging into the origins of these provisions. We actually found that they dated back even earlier. We found the earliest we could find reference to was 1939, which was before MDOT even existed. So these are, certainly they've been around for a while, but we are dealing with provisions that are going on almost 100 years old and that dealt with a very different procurement environment than we have today.
Follow up. Mr. Treasurer, the department suggested that because these are big and the Federal Highway Administration has got their process and NEPA has their process, like that they don't feel like it's necessary for Board of Public Works to have a process. Can you just respond to that?
To be honest, have we met any agency that feels like there should be a Board of Public Works process? Everyone would love, and I don't say that flippantly, everyone would love to bypass the board because of the scrutiny that we bring, the governor, the comptroller, and myself. And I want you all to remember, especially for me, unlike the governor and the comptroller, my position on the board is not for me. That's you all's position. Mm-hmm. I'm there to represent you all. So when you all have questions or concerns about a variety of things, I've gotten calls from Democrats and Republicans going, hey, Mr. Treasurer, can you hold this up, or can you ask about this or do that, just depending on the issue, the concern. So if we're able to sort of just bypass that process, we're missing a lot. And everything could be perfectly fine, but having that scrutiny, and like I said, the thing that makes me all the more want this is because if you keep reading the testimony, the fiscal notes, everything that they say, they always say it adds extra time. But it's not. They always say it's not the Board of Public Works; it's their internal review process. And again, I just emphasize that point. Why your internal review process is more stringent when it comes before the Board of Public Works versus when it doesn't. Is it because there's an extra set of eyes on it and you don't want something missed or to get embarrassed or whatever the case may be? Well, if that's your approach versus, well, nobody's watching now, we'll just put it out there and we'll trust that everything's fine. If that's your approach, that you're only really conscientious when you know you got the governor, the comptroller, and the treasurer looking at it, to me, that's all the more reason why we should do this. And remember that the regular one is now 500,000, and we recognize we don't want to slow things down and have every project coming, which is why we put it at 5 million. And my final point on that, Senator, and I'll be quiet, is that for months during the interim, late fall, we had an initial meeting, the delegate and myself, with MDOT, and we talked about it initially, and we asked them for a number, and they never got back to us. It wasn't until we put a bill in and it moved forward, then we started having, and it was scheduled, then we started hearing feedback. But for like 2 or 3 months, we were ignored.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. Thank you so much. And also thank you always for sharing information with me in my office when things are coming before the Board of Public Works, particularly as they are coming to District 47. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nicole McDonald and Chris Lawson. Either of those individuals here? No? Or yes? Okay. Lawson? Yes.
Good afternoon, Chair Gazone and members of the committee. My name is Chris Lawson, and I am representing the Maryland Transportation Builders and Materials Association. MTBMA has been and continues to serve as the voice for Maryland's construction transportation industry since 1932. Our association is comprised of close to 260 members. As a former Federal Highway Division Administrator, I do have concerns that this bill raises risk regarding federal funding. If the BPW were to deny approval for a federally funded project from which I understand more than 80% of the SHA road program funding is derived, after substantial state and federal investments have already been made in planning, design, and environmental review and authorization, the state could be required to deobligate and recommit federal funding to another project, or even have to repay those federal funds. This potential liability, potentially amounting to tens of millions of dollars on major projects, is not a prudent use of taxpayer dollars and will be burdensome to the state on many levels. This bill would impose additional layers of review that risk slowing project execution. At the SHA alone, roughly 96 out of 97 projects a year would fall under this bill's expanded review requirements. According to DDOT's own estimates, this added process would delay projects by an estimated 8 to 11 weeks and result in more than $300,000 in additional annual administrative costs by fiscal year 2031. MTBMA is also concerned that shifting procurement authority to the BPW could introduce greater uncertainty into the contracting process. If procurement decisions become more susceptible to changing political priorities, contractors may face increased risk when bidding and planning long-term investments in workforce and equipment. Smaller firms in particular could be disproportionately impacted by delays and unpredictability in project timelines. This cumulative effect would likely be fewer projects delivered and a less reliable construction program. For these reasons, we ask for your unfavorable vote on House Bill 587.
Thank you very much. Questions for this witness? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up, 600.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and distinguished members of the committee. Senator Bailey, representing District 29, for the record. This legislation was requested by the Commissioners of St. Mary's County and supported by the St. Mary's County delegation. House Bill 600 alters the fines and administrative enforcement actions that the county and the St. Mary's County Metropolitan Commission can impose on certain misdemeanors, civil infractions, and other violations.
Sounds like a good bill.
You have our written testimony. Thank you.
805.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'm happy to do 1422 as well. That's a quick one.
Yes.
For the record, Delegate Jared Solomon here for House Bill 805, which is not cross-filed, but you'll see there was no opposition testimony. This is a bill, it's enabling. It came out of actually a really cool, innovative affordable housing development in Wheaton that was a mix of about 200 rental units and then another 25 built home-owned units for Habitat for Humanity. And what we discovered was that because Habitat essentially holds almost a second mortgage, they lock in an affordability rate of about 20 or 30% for their members. I think most of you probably know you kind of put your sweat equity in, and then Habitat, if you're lucky enough to be selected to purchase a Habitat property, you're sort of locked into an affordable price for usually 20 or 30 years. And Habitat keeps those publicly at the market rate because they don't want to do anything with Habitat properties that would depress home values around a Habitat property. That's different than the way, let's say, Montgomery County does an affordable, an MPDU or a moderately priced dwelling, where essentially the lower price of the home is actually the recorded price. So for Habitat or other similar nonprofit developers, the recorded price and the price that you are taxed on is the market rate value, even though that's not the price that the homeowner is actually paying. So what this would do is it would enable local jurisdictions to essentially give Habitat or other nonprofit developers a tax break back on that first year so that they could get more money back, essentially, which is on the true value of what the home is being sold for, which would then turn them around and allow them to build more affordable homes. You'll see in your testimony, in your packet, there's favorable support from MACO, the Department of Housing and Community Development, the Howard County Executive, and then Habitat chapters across the state, passed with 110 votes in the House, and would ask for a favorable report here in the Senate. Thank you. This one is easy. House Bill 1422. Here again in my capacity as the House co-chair of the Joint Audit and Evaluation Committee. Thank you again to my wonderful partner, Senator Heddleman. This bill is the exact cross-file of the Senate bill, which passed unanimously out of the Senate. Would urge a favorable report. Thank you.
All right. 809.
Chair and members of the committee, my name is Sam McGranahan. I'm Delegate Rosenberg's Chief of Staff. He is unfortunately pulled in a meeting and unable to be here. House Bill 809 is a bill to increase funding for the Walter Sondheim Jr. Public Service Internship Program by 150% beginning in fiscal year 2028. This is an umbrella program that supports the Governor's Summer Internship Program, the Sondheim Maryland Nonprofit Leadership Program, and the Sondheim Public Service Law Fellows Program. The demand for qualified professionals in public service is growing. Many of our most critical sectors, law, social work, transportation, and nonprofit leadership, depend on a steady pipeline of talented individuals. And by expanding the scholarship program, we would encourage students to explore this field. I'm going to note that Delegate Rosenberg helped establish this program back in 2007 through legislation. Then he expanded it in 2015 through legislation, and now this session, we're asked to expand funding once again.
Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
842. This one might take a while.
All right. Thank you, Chair Garzone, Vice Chair Rosepap, and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Delegate Mike Griffith. I'm respectfully requesting a favorable report on HB 842, property tax credits surviving spouses of military service members. So what this bill seeks to do, right now, surviving spouses of Gold Star families are only eligible for the property tax exemption for 2 years after their spouse passes away. What we decided to do with this bill is try to enable counties to choose to be able to extend that property tax credit indefinitely for these families. The families, after their loved one passes away, need that property tax exemption then more than ever. And so again, this is supported by MACO with the amendment we put on the House to make it enabling. I do want to recognize Danielle Charles, President of the Maryland Gold Star Family Association, and I urge a favorable report.
Thank you. Questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
864.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the committee. For the record, I'm Delegate Wells, here to present HB 864. It's an opportunity to be here with you all today. This bill strengthens Maryland's commitment to building a skilled, sustainable workforce while ensuring that public investments deliver long-term economic economic value. The bill basically requires that contractors and subcontractors utilize around 20% of their total work hours. They utilize registered apprentices. We worked with the ABC and other folks on some amendments that would also allow them to utilize a journey worker who has completed their program within the last 3 years to help us continue to fill to meet the qualification of the 20% of hours. And wanted to just say that the bill is cross-filed with Senator Corey McRae, SB 964. I understand that that is in rules. But with that, I ask for a favorable report. Thank you.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Always love to talk about apprenticeships. I'm a little confused. Maybe there's a question for the council. I thought we had a different bill, which is a cross-file of Senator McRae's bill that we'd already dealt with. Did I dream that? The completion rate?
Yeah.
So, and this does not include the completion rate language, or it does?
This does not, no. This is looking at ensuring on our state-funded construction projects that we establish a standard to utilize registered apprentices.
A minimum number of hours?
A minimum number of hours, correct.
Okay, it's a different issue. Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
A related but different.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions? We have a couple witnesses. Don't we, on that one? Not on that one?
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you to take over. Okay. Used to.
So we have Michael Telfer. Oh, I'm sorry, did I ask, are there any questions from members of the committee? No, thank you.
Thank you.
You're free to leave. Thank you. Is Matthew here? I don't see him. Okay. And we have Kara Dukes. Kara Dukes is not here. That concludes the hearing on this bill. So the next bill is House Bill 1149. Delegates Young and Hornberger. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, or Mr. Vice Chair. Members of the Budget and Taxation Committee, it's a pleasure to be here. My name is Delegate Kaylin Young, here on behalf of House Bill 1149. House Bill 1149 is a simple bill that seeks to raise revenues while at the same time bring about tax relief for folks who are in the most difficult spaces when it comes to their taxes, those who are already in arrears. Under Maryland law, a law that was passed in the 1880s, you have to wait 2 years to be able to participate in the Offer and Compromise program. The Offer and Compromise program allows for taxpayers who are in arrears to be able to negotiate with the comptroller on their tax debt, so they can negotiate it down to clear that debt. But again, we have a 2-year wait period. We are the only state of all the states in the union, I think it's 38 states, that have an Offer and Compromise program. We are the only state with a 2-year wait period. So the bill, as originally introduced, would have just simply eliminated that 2-year wait period. In the House, after deliberations with my colleagues and with the Comptroller's Office, we've amended it down to only apply to businesses that have permanently ceased operations. So we're talking about businesses that have shut their doors, but that may still have a tax burden. They currently still have to wait 2 years to clear that burden. So under this bill as amended and as presented to the Budget and Taxation Committee, we want to remove that 2-year period as those individuals are no longer in business. With the goal being that we begin this year with this, and then hopefully we would ramp up to open up that opportunity for individuals and other businesses in the future. Again, this is an opportunity where we can reduce the tax burden on some of our folks who are entrepreneurs or who are in business mindset, but at the same time bring in revenues that we might not have been able to bring in right away. And with that, I urge a favorable report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Who would like to go next?
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. My name is Giovante Hawkins. I'm the Executive Director of the Maryland Society of Accounting and Tax Professionals. We represent over 1,400 tax and accounting professionals serving more than 400,000 Maryland taxpayers. I am here in strong support of House Bill 1149. This bill removes the restriction that prevents the comptroller's office from settling, as Delegate Young has mentioned. I do want to note one of our members, CPA Jonathan Rivlin. He shared a story with me that illustrates exactly why this matters. His client suffered a serious mental health crisis. He fell behind on filings and payments and lost nearly everything: his marriage, his home, his savings, his business. He is now in therapy, living in a group home, and has filed all of his back year returns. He is already making voluntary payments as well to show good faith. But he cannot renew his professional license and open up his business again until his debt is settled. He cannot settle until the statutory waiting period passes. And without his license, he cannot earn the income to pay down the debt faster. It is definitely a catch-22 that the system has created, and this bill would somewhat fix that. HB 1149 is practical, compassionate, and fiscally sound, and MSATP respectfully urges a favorable report. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Sir Chair and members of the committee. My name is Sakina Tillman. I am an assistant professor and director of the tax clinic at the University of District of Columbia David A. Clark School of Law, where I represent low-income taxpayers in Maryland and the District of Columbia with disputes with the IRS and state tax agencies. I am testifying today in support of House Bill 1149 with one amendment. Under the current law, individuals with tax liabilities or other debts owed to Maryland must be in arrears for at least 2 years before becoming eligible for offer and compromise, which is a program that allows settlements of a debt when full repayment will create a financial hardship. Of the 27 states and the District of Columbia that offers this type of agreement, Maryland is the only one that imposes this 2-year waiting period. My amendment to the third reading of the bill is to include individual taxpayers. Without this amendment, this waiting period forces taxpayers into a payment plan to avoid noncompliance and enforcement actions, even when a payment plan is not the best or most realistic option for their financial situation. Thus, these payments are not voluntary, they're demanded by taxpayers left with no other choice. With my amendment, House Bill 1149 will give individuals and business owners what the current law denies them, an opportunity to settle their debts immediately. I urge for favorable support of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I'll just call her again. It looks like she's signed up for just about everything. Nicole McDonald? No. Okay. All right. Delegate Wilson. Been waiting for this all day. I know this is a good one. It's got to be.
Let's hope. Thank you, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the committee. Delegate. Well, that was easy.
Well done. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much for having me today. Coming over from the House, I was told by your good Senator Augustine to refer to you guys as the House of Lords, so thank you again. I will be very brief. House Bill 1352, basically what it does, it just sets up a program where when it comes to any state project over $5 million, that 35% of the apprenticeships must be served by Maryland residents. And again, this is just to increase our workforce. If the contractors cannot meet that demand, then they can also pay into the Maryland Apprenticeship Training Fund or registered in-state apprenticeship. It'll be basically the Department of Labor will be the one in charge of enforcement. If there are penalties, because then they sign this agreement whenever they enter into this the project, then they would be penalized up to twice the value of the hours of the apprenticeship rate. The goal really here is to beef up what we're doing in Maryland. It is a frustration a lot of times when we fight very hard for union rights, and I have no problem with that. But I like Marylanders to start benefiting. It's our money, it's our tax dollars, and I would like to see Marylanders start benefiting. In the areas that we don't have enough Marylanders working in, that makes it all the more important to beef up our apprenticeship programs. And that is just what this bill is aimed to do, is make sure that we meet our growth with Maryland workforce, to make sure if we don't have it now that we'll have it in the future. It's a very simple bill. I know you hear that all the time, but that's all. I look forward to any questions and looking forward to your support on House Bill 1352. And as always, in the MO that you all know, I did not do a cross-file because apparently I'm Army of One. I keep forgetting.
Oh, good. Questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you guys very much. Have a wonderful day, everybody.
898. 898, I know I saw him out in the hall.
Who is it?
There he is.
Mr. Chair, I didn't even know that decade was up, so I appreciate you looking at me and saying there he is. Mr. Chair, members of the committee, for the record, Tony Bridges, Deputy Legislative Officer for Governor Wes Moore, here for House Bill 898, the Decade Act of 2026. Not going to get into all the provisions of the Decade Act because you all heard this bill already. In fact, I do want to give Senator Augustine, all the work that you've done, definitely appreciate it. You and the work group really helped move the amendments and everything that you needed to do for this bill through. Again, this is the governor's sort of economic development toolbox and trying to sharpen the tools in the toolbox so that we can maintain, grow, and expand our businesses here in the state of Maryland. Obviously, the amendments went through, and so you all sent your amendments in the bill over to the House. The House sent the amendments in their bill back, and there are a little bit of changes, and I'm more than happy to work with the committee on those changes along with the rest of the administration to make sure that we can come to a conclusion on any problems or processes that we need to work through. And so with that, I would ask for a favorable amendment, and if there are any questions, happy to answer those questions.
Questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
1611.
Good afternoon. Should I start?
Oh,
Okay.
please.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, committee members, Delegate Pippi for the record here in support of HB 1611. This bill deals with property tax credits for disabled veterans. So in Maryland, there's two types of programs. One program for veterans that are 100% disabled, and then one program for veterans that are between 50 and 99% disabled. This bill deals with the latter for those that are 50% to 99%. And it's very simple. The program currently has an income cap of $100,000. So to be eligible, if you're a disabled veteran, you have to have an income cap, household income cap of 100. This merely moves the income cap up. It has a zero effect on state taxes. It's a county opt-in program. I do have the support of the County Council, Frederick County, the County Executive, Frederick County, MACO. It's a bipartisan bill. It was unanimously voted out of the House. And it just gives an opportunity for our disabled veterans in Maryland to catch a little break, and it won't impact our state finances. The fiscal note's zero. With that, I ask for this committee's support and a favorable. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, 1581.
Good afternoon, Chair Gazone, members of the committee. My name is Gary McGuigan. I'm the Executive Vice President with the Maryland Stadium Authority, testifying on HB 1581. The original bill was intended to do a couple of things. One is to take Medco out of the state side of the operating side on racing and substitute the Stadium Authority. It also authorizes the Stadium Authority to enter into a long-term agreement with the Maryland Jockey Club. And it's also that the net profits from the Maryland Jockey Club, there's a clause in there that the community would receive 10% of the net profits, along with various other technical amendments to clean up from the MTROA, which was disbanded last summer. The bill was amended in the House. with various amendments, and I'm asking for a favorable report and happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.